I'm close with Lainey Wilson, and I love watching her star rise. And like, she called me one night, and it was late at night, and I was on the bus. She was on the bus, and she's like, "Hey, I just wanted to call you because my song went number one, my very first number one." And she was like, "I just wanted to hear your voice because I wanted to talk to somebody who knew exactly what that felt like."
Oh my God. What does it feel like?
That's so amazing.
Well, it feels like, oh my God, like relieving because you need it so bad. And then it feels like, oh shit, now here we go.
Hey guys, welcome to the official YouTube page for Calm Down with Erin and Charissa. This is where you can watch all of our ridiculous conversations and fun interviews. We have full shows, we've got pre-games, anything and everything that you guys could want. But first, you're going to have to subscribe. Just hit subscribe right there and you're good to go. And now you can calm down with us. Yep. Can you tell that we're reading this off a script? We hope so. All right. We need to calm down and wrap this bad boy up. Press subscribe. Thanks for listening. Calm Down with Erin and Charissa is a production of iHeartRadio.
Well, you look beautiful. I literally was making sure I was like going through all y'all's past episodes. I'm like, how cute do I have to get today?
I love you. You're lucky that we put on any makeup ever.
I know. I was anyway. Like, what's the level of try here?
No, or bra. Normally that's like a question as well. So you're fine.
Which is why Erin and I both talked about how we need a lift because we don't wear bras. Welcome everybody to the Calm Down podcast. And with that, we welcome in a woman that really needs no introduction, but a 3-time Grammy Award winner. You're the winningest artist in the Academy of Country Music Awards. You've won 39 ACMs.
That's insane. That's really insane. When you say it like that, it sounds crazy. And it also makes me a little tired to think about.
Well, you have endless energy, and we are so glad that you're on this podcast. Erin and I are big fans of yours. I know you hear that a lot, but you're also like the ultimate girl's girl. I know that Erin has gotten a chance to interview you before, but we're thrilled to have you. So thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here today.
I interviewed you way back in the day. I think it was in a restaurant and maybe it was Nashville, and it was for an award show. And I was so excited and nervous, and all I wanted to do was drink with you. And I don't think that that's what we got to do, but one day I know it's going to happen.
Yeah, we can hang low key next time.
I would love it. Hey, since we're really going to be great friends in the future, Chris and I manifest that all the time. Favorite drink of choice, like maybe at 4:30, 5 o'clock before dinner, you're chilling on your porch. What's your favorite drink of choice?
I usually, like, if I'm out, I get a martini. But I don't want to go to all that effort myself. So I just like Tito's and sparkling water and lime for the porch.
Oh my God. You guys are the same. Erin does it with tequila. I don't have that feels like I need more. And then I end up drinking like things like margaritas and have the worst hangover in the morning because it's so much sugar. Like I'm a 21-year-old that just started drinking. But anyways, Miranda, you have so many things going on. So you're in the Northeast right now. As
yes.
You just mentioned you're up in. So how often, like between Austin, between Nashville, the Northeast, like what do you call home? Like what's home? I mean, you have homes in all those places, but where do you spend the most time?
Nashville's our home base.
Okay.
That's where, like, I mean, I've had a place in Nashville since I was like 20. I mean, I bet it's where I work a lot. It's where a lot of my friends are, a lot of my friends are work friends. That's how this business works. But, but I spend a lot of time in Texas because my family's still there. My little brother went to UT and never came back to our little town in East Texas. So he lives in Austin, and my husband's a New Yorker. So I spend a lot of time up here as well.
Oh my God. Nice win for them over Michigan over the weekend. And I know you're a huge Chiefs fan, so you have to be very excited about the start for your guys' season with a win over Baltimore.
I really am. And I am in my sports era finally. Like I'm fully immersed. I'm like in it now and I'm learning a bunch, but I do love the Chiefs because I'm cheering for hometown boy. Pat Mahomes is from like 2 towns over from mine in East Texas. Like there's not that many of us that like get out. So I'm like, we did it. We're doing big things.
That's adorable.
Okay,
so you say, go.
No, I was going to say sports era. I'm sure that's where you went. Is that because of Brendan? Like, how did that start? Texas, you automatically think everybody that lives or is from Texas has the Cowboys, has whatever, just sort of like sports running through their blood. But you just started, huh?
Well, I always have. I mean, it's obviously I have to I have to root for the Cowboys. That's like, you have to do that.
You don't have to.
You don't
by the
get
way.
an
You
option.
don't.
But actually, I'm a huge fan of the cheerleaders, to be honest. Like, I'm obsessed with all the Cowboys cheerleaders shows and like Kelly and everything she's done and how hard they work. Like, that is their new series. Like, I binged it so hard, and I was like, what if y'all did a dance to one of my songs? That would be amazing. Like, so I'm putting that out there because I just think they work so hard, and they're like the vibe of the team to me. So.
Oh my God. Well, Miranda, this is a very serendipitous because you're talking to basically like Miss Dallas Cowboys reporter because she has all of their games with the A crew. Just came up working the Cowboys Browns game. Erin, you need to do this. You need to make this happen.
Okay, so yesterday I was on the sidelines waiting for the players to come out, and Charlotte Jones was on the sidelines, and we always see them, but I hadn't seen her since the show came out. So I ran over to her and I was like, I don't know if you're working on a season 2, but I need you to get it done and get paid a lot of money because this was one of the best things I've ever watched. Binge the whole thing. Great news for you, Miranda. I know your people are probably very powerful, better than me, but I'm in Dallas this coming weekend. I'll tell Charlotte.
Oh,
we
yeah.
got to make it happen. And I'll tell the coaches.
I'll text Kelly because Kelly's from Lindell, my hometown, which is crazy. Like a tiny little East Texas town. So like we're manifesting right now.
That is so great. I love that. Erin, we were on vacation in Tulum together with a big group of people. And one of the girls, Ashley, used to be a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. So what Erin doesn't brag about herself is that she was also a dancer, Miranda, at the University of Florida.
Like that.
But so they busted out a routine, the whole Thunderstruck routine in the middle of the house that we were staying at. And I was like, oh my God. Yeah, it was pretty great. So have you tried to do the leg kick?
Oh God,
no.
Muscle. I could never. I was not a dancer. Like I was a cheerleader till like my sophomore year, and I wasn't good at all. I just wore my hair really high on my head in a ponytail, like back in the sponge roller days, where you could make it really, really curly. So it looked like I was jumping higher than I was.
Oh my God! It's so good.
I'm actually. Brendan loves football. Like he loves. He used to play for the NYPD. He played for them for the whole time he was a cop. And he was actually playing flag football yesterday, and then he went and watched football all day.
Yes, that's our guy.
And we are obviously Longhorns fans, so I'm just like immersing in it. I went to my first hockey game in Vegas during my residency, to the Golden Knights game, and it was like a Vegas show. I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. So I'm definitely getting on the Predators train this year. So like I'm getting all the jerseys. I'm doing the thing.
I'll tell you right now, get a jersey for Steven Stamkos. He's one of my favorite NHL players. You guys just signed him. He came from Tampa Bay. I hope he scores 50 goals this year. He's adorable. His wife's fantastic. Their kids are great. Get a I'll get you a Steven Stamkos jersey.
Oh, there you go.
That's my gift to you.
Okay, thank you.
You mentioned Brendan before we jumped on the call. We were just chatting and then about the Zoom or whatever. And you were telling us how you met him. And I can't wait to hear this whole story. We are obviously we love and the serendipity of how you guys met. So tell everyone and us the details of it all.
I was doing a song with the Pistol Annies on GMA.
What was the song?
It was called "I Got My Name Changed Back."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure did. Been there twice.
Yeah. We wrote a whole song because it's like a whole lot of work to do that. So after my first marriage, I went through like a whole thing to get my name changed back on my license. And so we wrote a song about it, which is funny because it's a girl band. Like we're like our bread and butter is like women scorn music. Yes. And so, and then Brendan was working at GMA as a cop. And he kind of was part of his like morning rotation was to go by GMA and make sure everybody was good. And my bandmate Angelina was like, "Did you see that cop?" And I was like, "No, it's 8 a.m. I just want to see the back of my eyelids right now. We've been out doing hair and makeup for like 4 hours." And
GMA's early, man.
It's so early. So we invited him to our show through my security guy, and he came. We only gave him one ticket.
Yes.
We're like,
don't bring a date.
One.
Yes, exactly. Smart.
And we ended up
Very
hanging
smart.
out. Yeah, we ended up hanging out after the show and just hit it off. Like I'm from a family of first responders. I have tons of cops and firemen in my family, and his whole family are cops and firemen. And so it just like felt really natural. And it was like it was serendipitous. It really was. It was just kind of this like came out of nowhere love story. And we're almost 6 years in now. So we're killing it.
So this is real life Whitney Houston, Kevin Costner Bodyguard. I mean, it really is. Do you guys ever reenact the movie? I mean, not the personal scenes. Well, you can tell us, but no, like, do you ever like make jokes that this is the Bodyguard?
We have made those jokes for sure.
Hell yeah.
I got the stuff that you want, the stuff that you need. Speaking of lyrics, I cannot stop listening to Damn It, Randy. I love the whole story about, speaking of Brendan, that he was are we giving him co-writing credit on this one?
He's full on co-writer. Like he's in it.
I love it.
It's funny. Like he's really proud of it. I mean, I had him writing a little bit during like COVID, just out of boredom, like everybody was doing everything. We were writing and he was really good. He had like some great lines. And then, you know, he's not like a writer, but he's now a co-writer. He got a cut. So I guess he is.
It's such a good song. And this whole album, Postcards from Texas, Miranda, you've done so many different things. What does this album mean to you? And how would you describe the overall vibe of it?
It just feels full circle to me. It feels like home. I mean, it's technically my 10th studio album. And the last time I made a record at home was when I was 18, my little independent project. And I just felt like I got out of a 20-year deal with Sony, and I've signed with Republic Records, and Big Loud Nashville is our partner. And just having these two teams that lead with art, that are so excited about new music, and for me, especially being in it so long, to have that kind of like enthusiasm and inspiration, I just felt like I'm going to go back home and make this record and like start where the root of it all started. Like really dig into what got me to chase this in the first place. And so this record has like little pieces of every influence I've ever had and all the kinds of music I've ever loved. And it's like, well, I guess a snapshot of like the last 2 decades of like what I've built, but I wanted to go full circle and take it back home to the root, you know?
Yeah. Miranda, we're around guys that we cover, you know, in the NFL, and we know what it's like for them to prepare for a season, what it's like for them to prepare for a game. It's why we are massive sports fans and love the guys and the coaches and the teams we get to cover. Sorry if this is ignorant in this world, but in your world, but I'm so excited to hear about it. What in the hell goes into writing songs or putting an album together? I mean, do you go to different parts of your house? Do you take trips? Is there a full bottle of wine? I mean, how do you, it's like you're preparing for your NFL season. How do you put an album together?
You know, it's different every time. This time I really, I just spent a lot of time thinking, like, what is it that I need to do now? What do I get to do now? And I didn't, you know, I did write a lot for this record, but I went and pulled some old songs that I hadn't like listened to in a decade, you know, some of my own. I called all my friends that are amazing songwriters and I'm like, send me songs. I'm looking for like all kinds of things and inspiration. And so it's a lot of preparation. It's because, you know, a record sets up at least the next 2 to 3 years of your life with your tour and all your promo and all the imaging. It sort of sets up like, okay, the next 3 years look like this, and this is the imaging, and this is the branding, and this is the sound. And so it's not nonchalant to me. It's like I really want to plan that out. And you know, in this case, in Postcards from Texas, it was like it felt a little easier than some of the other ones, honestly, because it was like, let's just go to Austin and get some amazing players, and I have a house right by the studio and I could stumble home, which was really convenient.
Yeah.
And just like this time I felt like it was smooth and easy because I didn't have to set anything up for like, what's my imaging going to be? It was like, I'm just going to be me. I'm just going to be myself. Like, not that I've always been authentic to myself and just who I am. But I feel like almost every record I've made was like a kind of a snapshot of the last 2 or 3 years. Like, this is where I am. This is what's happened in my life. And this one just feels like, here's a lot of information of exactly who I am. Like Brendan, he said, this is the most you record I've ever heard you make. This record feels like you on tape. And I was like, that is exactly what I wanted it to be.
But I don't think that's a coincidence because, you know, where you are in your life, right? You mentioned like you've always been you and you've always been authentic, which is one of the many reasons that people love you. It's why we love you, is because we, like it or not, Erin and I very much are like, who we are. And that's sometimes met with criticism, but we don't care. I think we're both at a like, fuck it, like place in our life, and that we're very confident in our own life. Better, worse, and different. You just turned 40, right?
I did. And it's awesome.
It's awesome.
Hell
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It really is. Like, it's freeing, and it feels like, just more permission to like only care about the opinions of people that really matter to you, and the rest of them, just their noise. And I give even less of a shit now about the noise, because I want the people in my circle that are really valuable to my life and that I value everything they say. I listen to them, and I drown out the noise. And I feel like turning 40 really helped me like do that even more. And everyone that's in their 40s says it's the best decade. And so I'm like, let's go. It's going to be awesome.
Is there a song that you love on this new album, Postcards from Texas, which, by the way, is coming out September 13th? Is that correct? Yeah,
yes.
That's right. Is there a song about not giving a shit? Because that's really been Charissa and I's anthem. Although I do love Armadillo, because that was my secret password when I was a child and we lived in Texas. If a stranger ever picked us up, our parents were like, the secret code word is Armadillo. That never happened.
Oh, yeah.
But
I
is
love
there
that.
a not give a shit song? Like, don't give a shit?
You know, I think Damn It Randy's the closest. And there's also one called Bitch on the Sauce, but she does give a shit.
It's so good.
But yeah, you know, I just feel like, you know, and I did Wranglers on this record too. And it felt really important to me. Like, you know, people say, oh, you're back. I'm like, the fiery girl never left. You know, I mean, I feel like there's songs on this record. Almost every song could have been on like Kerosene, which was my very first album, or Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, or Revolution, or there's like snippets of every phase of my musical career on this record, you know? So it feels, I mean, my really good friends are texting me going, this record feels like I could have heard Damn It Randy on Revolution, and I could have heard Wranglers on Kerosene. And it's like, that makes me feel even better. Like I made the right choices, and I stuck with my gut and made the record I was supposed to make for this time in my life.
Miranda, so much of who you are is, again, that we love is that not give a shit attitude. But in a way, I mean, there's the other side of that is like, you do care. And there are so many headlines that get written, and you have lived your life in a spotlight. So how do you balance that? And where does your confidence come from to be able to just put away the noise and to know what's true to yourself, and just sort of, where does that all come from, having lived in the spotlight for so long?
You know, I didn't get into this for the spotlight at all. I love country music. Like I got into it because I am lucky enough to get a gift of songwriting, and I was like, oh, I have this. I have to do something good with it. And I just didn't ever want to, you know, I never remember saying like, I want to be famous or any of that. I wanted to make music that mattered, and really, as a woman, use my songs and my voice to, you know, lift up other women, to save dogs, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a minute.
Yes.
But, you know, I feel like I didn't get into it for that. So I've tried to not ever let that creep in, because it's like, it's also just noise. And it's, you know, it's not like it doesn't bother me sometimes. I mean, of course it does when people say things that aren't true, or take things out of context, or judge you on something that's completely false, you know, but I know who I am, and I don't surround myself with yes people. I have real friends in my life, real people in my management team. I've been with my manager for 21 years, and it's an all-girl team over there, and they'll tell me the truth, you know? And so I don't, you know, I feel like it keeps me like in a good, grounded place. And I've really worked on that my whole life, to stay grounded, even though this business is crazy sometimes.
It's such a good one. Erin and I've obviously work in a male dominated industry. Okay, fine. All of that kind of stuff. And I've always been like, oh, I'm a guy's girl, whatever. As of the last few years, I have leaned so hard on my girlfriends. Like I remember I was in a terrible marriage, and Erin called me and she goes, I will not be friends with you anymore if you stay in this. You're ruining your life. You're ruining and she was the only person that would have the balls to say that to me. And she was exactly like, it was exactly what I needed, and the catalyst to get me out. And I leaned so hard on my female relationships now. So that's so cool that you have that, because they'll save your life. They're like the life jacket on your boat that will just save you from drowning in your own shit sometimes. So
they are. And it's important to tell the truth, and it's important to lift each other up, like good, bad, and ugly, you know? And and I think a lot of times people think women are like pitted against each other. And I just don't think that's true. Not in my world. I mean, I'm like go run, live your dream, be amazing. I'm here for the highs, I'm here for the lows. And my friends are there for me for both of those things too. And I just think, it's a lot more energy to like, somebody said this the other day. I was on vacation with my manager, went to Italy. It was amazing.
Ooh, where?
We went to Como and Florence and Tuscany. It was awesome. We went for her birthday and there was a big group of people. And there was this really wise friend of hers, Elizabeth. And she said, there's a difference in winning and wanting to beat everybody. And I was like, wow, like that really struck me because we could all win. But when you start trying to beat each other and like step on toes to get where you think you need to go is where all the ugly comes in. And if you just stay in your lane and lift each other up and cheer for them, even if they are ahead of you, it's like we're all going to win in our way at some point. Like, and I just think that resonated with me. And I'm going to use that a lot in my life moving forward.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I love that. I do want to talk about Mutt Nation, but I would be remiss if I didn't ask you this, and maybe for you to give a little bit more of your pep talk, motivation, love to my best friend. You've been very public about what's gone on in your life in terms of marriage, finding love again, getting married again, and saying, I'm so glad I did it. This is the happiest I've seen my best friend in a relationship. And it's one of those, and I don't know about you, like my husband wants to hang out with her boyfriend. I call her boyfriend her husband because I want them to get married. What do you recommend about doing it again, Miranda?
I'm so happy. I learned so much from all the experiences that were even, I always say you don't learn when everything's going great. You don't learn when everything's just smooth sailing. You get the lessons during the hard stuff. And that's where I really grew as a woman and kind of grew in my heart and like understood myself more. And so I think I spent so much time like relearning myself during that really hard time. To like when I met Brendan, I felt like I was much more prepared and my heart was like much more open and ready to love. And I'm also a risk taker. I'm like, I take risk in my career. I take risk with my charities and my brands. So why not no risk, no reward. It's like, I know that loving big means hurting big. But pain does subside. And so if that's the only risk is the pain, I've lived through that. So I'm like, let's go. Because I want the reward of what this great love can be. And it's worth it to me to like just run and jump off that cliff, And a lot of my friends are like, they say to me, like, you're crazy, but we wish we were like that. You know what I mean? So I think it's like, what do you have to lose? Especially if you've already been through something really hard.
It is really inspiring to hear that because I do believe in love. And I will tell you who the number one indicators of a good man is: dogs. When I first introduced my dogs to my boyfriend, they didn't bark, they didn't growl, and these dogs are like, I've got 6, Miranda, but these 2 in particular would be the first ones to be like, warning, like abort mission. So when you know that like you have a good man is when the dogs are all in. You do incredible things. You love dogs the way that Erin and I do. And I just, Mutt Nation, please tell everybody more about it and how you got started and where your love of animals, in particular dogs, came from.
Well, I had 9 dogs when I met Brendan. 9 rescue dogs. I know. And I was like, why didn't you think I was like a crazy dog lady? And yes, I am a crazy dog lady. So he saw that and married me anyway. But speaking of dogs, like I started Mutt Nation with my mom in 2009, and my mom and dad were private investigators my whole life. So we sort of like wanted to use her experience and like vetting people to like, I was asking my fans to go, hey, I started a charity called Mutt Nation Foundation. We're asking you for money. And I wanted to be able to tell them where their dollars were going. You know what I mean? Like what exactly we're spending this money on. And so my mom and I just started this little, kind of a mom and pop operation back then to raise awareness for spay and neuter, to push adoptions, adopt, don't shop. We started it just for those small little reasons, because I used to volunteer at the shelter in East Texas, but it just has grown so much, and we've done such amazing programs, and we've raised almost $10 million since we started.
Wow.
Yep.
$10 million? Miranda, that's incredible.
Incredible.
And we have saved hundreds and hundreds of dogs. And we don't have a shelter. Some people, I mean, we got a text today. It was like, I found a dog. I'm like, so I work with a ton of shelters. What we say is Mutt Nation lifts up the shelters. Like, we help with renovations. We help with transport vans. We give grants every year to all 50 states, to a shelter in all 50 states. I just met a lady the other day that we had given a grant of $5,000 to last year. And she bought a transport van because she saves mama dogs that had puppies. So she fosters the puppies. I mean, just these little organizations all around the US that people aren't really looking out for. That's where Mutt Nation comes in, because we see them and they're small. And we also do huge things. Like when Harvey happened, we were boots on the ground. We had every vehicle we could find, and we were down there moving dogs out and helping place local dogs. And it was one of the hardest but most rewarding things that I've ever been a part of. But I'm really thankful that people are sewing into this charity. It's my number one passion. I mean, music and mutts are my two things that I live for. And so the fact that I can mix the two, that my music has got me a platform that can speak for the voiceless, makes me so happy.
Oh my God. Well, I really want to get involved, and I will talk to your people about that, because I'm very passionate. I don't have children. Like, these are my children, and my whole feed and Instagram is like dog rescues and saving. And I spend like literally then just crying and being like, how can I help this random dog in Alabama? So I totally feel that. And Erin does too. She's got her golden retriever Howie, and we're so passionate about that. So it's amazing. I can't believe you've raised $10 million. That's really, really cool.
It's incredible. And I will say that when sometimes people, like, I get overwhelmed, even I'm not doing enough. I can't do enough. I can't save them all. But I do think that if people can't, if they're not in a position to go adopt a dog, or they're not in a position to, volunteer for 10 hours a week, it's like just 1 hour of your time a week, can change the entire trajectory of a dog's path. Like, interacting with humans, getting them out of their crate or getting them out of their enclosure for an hour, and human interaction. So I encourage people, we're not asking just for money, maybe just an hour of your time a month, even. It's start small, because every little bit counts. And I have to remind myself of that all the time, because I get overwhelmed. I follow all these shelters and I'm like, how can we help? But that's what Mutt Nation is here for. It's like one little step at a time, and we can do huge, amazing things.
It's beautiful.
You can find out more about Mutt Nation at muttnation.com, because that's where I went to check it all out. What's your biggest hope? What do you want to get bigger and better about all this?
I want to really raise awareness, just keep raising awareness for people. Shelters are not scary places. They seem scary, but they're amazing dogs that are already there that need homes. So we need to cut down on the breeding. Spay and neuter is so important, y'all. It's like, there's this rush of this certain kind of breed everybody wants, and then everybody breeds it, and then they bring them to the shelters, and it keeps perpetuating the problem. So, and raising more money. I mean, I'm doing a show in Nashville on October 5th at Ascend, called Music for Mutts, and all the money goes straight to Mutt Nation, so we can fill our pot again and start pushing out money to all of the amazing people we work with. And just awareness is our biggest thing. Like, I really want to encourage people to just give it a shot. Just go by the shelter. If you're in the market at all to adopt, just stop by and see who grabs your heart, because they will.
It's funny you say that, because I'm like, I want to adopt them all. And so I recently have purchased a ranch, a much smaller ranch than yours. I think you have 400 acres. Is that right?
Yeah, outside of Nashville.
Incredible. And I was like, I just want to rescue them all and bring them all to the ranch. They can just run around and be free. But it's really beautiful what you've done. And I definitely want to and will get involved to help you. So let's just go back to your other passion of music. You have done so much. And obviously in the world that Erin and I are in with athletes, we're constantly asking them, what do you want your bucket list of check off the things? Do you want to win the MVP? Obviously, their goal is always to win a Lombardi trophy. Do you have goals that you set for yourself? I mean, the countless awards that you've already achieved in your career. And is this your 10th record? Is that right?
Yeah, it's my 10th record.
Wow, you're 10 double digits, sister. I mean, is there a checklist of what you want to achieve, or do you just continue to live out your dream every day and be grateful for where it goes?
I have a lot I want to do. I don't have it all. I actually talked to my manager about that this morning on the phone, that I want to lay it out on paper. And the great part about it all is that I'm only just turned 40, and I achieved so many of those from my goal list early, which was really
good
a
for
lot.
you.
I mean, I worked my ass
good
off,
for
but
you.
it was awesome, So,
yeah.
but I really feel like music has led to so many things. Mutt Nation. I mean, I want to keep growing and getting bigger and better with that. My brand Idol win at Boot Barn. I'm super involved in that. Like, you have the fringe. I'm super involved. Nothing I have my name on. I see everything that has my name on it. Like Casa Rosa, our bar on Broadway, the first woman to have one.
First
so,
one.
I just want to, like 3 chords have led me to all of this. And that's crazy to think about. My dad taught me 4 in case I needed an extra.
That's really sweet.
Yeah. Taught me 4 chords at 17 on the guitar. And since then, all these other amazing things have come to fruition. And so, but all that to say, it starts with the music. So I just want to keep creating, because I just started a label called Big Loud Texas. I'm a founder of that label to sew into younger artists, especially from our amazing state. So much music comes out of there, so many kinds of music. So I just want to keep letting all the arms that have reached out from the music grow, but I have to keep that creative part so sacred, because that's where it starts and ends.
I was reading a great article where you talked about, much like Charissa, I don't have kids. Charissa's got, all her animals. I know you do as well, but like to mentor young artists. And I'm not young and I'm not an artist, but I feel like you're mentoring me right now with all the great things you're saying. What kind of advice do you give them? What's your first piece of advice when they want to kind of try this industry out, or they have these dreams, or want to, write down these words on paper? What do you suggest to them?
My mom's advice to me when I started at 17 was know who you are and stick with it. And that has gotten me through this crazy roller coaster of entertainment business. So that's my first piece of advice. It's I want to know who you are. I want to know how hungry you are too. You have to, this is not for the faint of heart, especially for female artists. You got to really want it and know what it takes to get there. And so, I asked them to ask themselves that, because my mom made me ask myself that. And me not having a plan B, I wasn't going to go to college. I wasn't very good at school. I just knew that I wanted to chase this. And so my parents were think long and hard, because there's no plan B. This is just your college money. This is it. So,
oh my God.
So, I feel like, you can tell early on if someone's going to really want it. And I think the hunger for it and the passion for it is so important, because it's hard.
Erin and I talk about that all the time when, women will ask us. Erin and I both, 20 years into this wonderful industry. This was both our dreams to be sports broadcasters, and we feel so grateful every day to do it. But young girls will be like, I want to be on TV. And you're like, okay, well, this ain't going to work, because you have to be able to think about those, long weeks and months and whatever, and you're away from your friends and you're away from your family and you're staying in the middle of nowhere. And it sounds like a parallel path in a way of you're playing those small bars that no one's in, and you're having to do that. So when you say that your parents were like, oh, that's your college money, what were you using that money for?
Gas to get to a club, a guitar. Honestly, it was and my parents were cops and PIs. We didn't have much. And so I knew if I use this, that's it. Or I'm just going to have to go work at the dog shelter, which also I would have loved. But
now you can do both. Yeah,
exactly. Now I get to do both. But it just was, it's a crazy path. But it's beautiful to be able to recognize early, this is my dream. I'm going for it. And hell or high water, and it takes grit. And I love seeing that in people like you guys, because I know how hard it is to get to where you want to go. And not everyone is cut out for it, but when you get there, then you have so many stories to tell. And you can help younger women go, hey, this is what it takes. And I'm here for the highs, good, bad, and ugly. I'm close with Lainey Wilson, and I love watching her star rise. And she called me one night, and it was I was late at night, and I was on the bus. She was on the bus, and she's like, hey, I just wanted to call you because my song went #1, my very first #1. And she was like, I just wanted to hear your voice because I wanted to talk to somebody who knew exactly what that felt like.
Oh my God. What does it feel like?
That's so amazing.
Well, it feels like, oh my God, relieving, because you need it so bad. And then it feels like, oh shit, now here we go. You know what I mean? Because it's a big deal. So I just things like that. That's where I'm like, I'm glad y'all have each other. I'm glad that you can find this girl tribe that you can lift each other up and be like, here for the highs, there for the lows.
I love I'm going to tell you something bad. You and Carrie, and that song, I listened to that song over and over and over because, you know, not all women are supportive of other women, especially in this industry. And I know for you, you've been lucky and have great girlfriends in the music industry, but I'm sure there's a few that you won't name that are not always the same way. And so like when I listen to that song, I'm just like so jacked up, like, something bad's going to happen. And you know what? Like, watch out. But no, I just love that you have those relationships in the music industry, especially just because you can relate to what one another's going for. I love that. Through.
And Carrie, I mean, we've been in it the same amount of time. I mean, like we've stayed in the game, like, and you know, I got to see her show in Vegas when I had my residency. She had hers at the same time, but only one of the times did our shows like overlap, which was during NFR. And so she came to my show, and the next night I went to her show, and it was just her show was amazing. If y'all are Vegas, you have to see it. It's so good. But like we got to just hang after, and it's like, can you believe we're like, look at us, like daps, because we're like still friends, still just killing it and lifting each other up. And like, she's great about mentoring. She always brings young female artists on her tour. And so I just, you know, that is way more fun than having hate and being catty. You know, it's way more fun to celebrate things together than like try to tear each other down.
Charissa, we're the Miranda and Carrie of sports.
You totally are.
We're like freaking in it. Yeah.
Y'all should be us for Halloween.
Done.
Forget Sesame Street.
Done. Erin has a 14-month-old, and I agreed to go as Oscar the Grouch as part of one of the members.
That's cute too.
We'll do that.
No, I'll be you. I already have your clothes. Wait, I want to know what it's like having a residency, because it seems like a grind. What's the coolest and the toughest part of it?
You know what? There's parts of it that are a lot easier than the road. And there's parts of it that are a lot harder. I mean, the road is tough. I mean, it's like, it's sleep and moving. I always say it's really weird. I mean, you join the circus. You live on a tube.
Tell us.
You live on a tube with people you're not in love with or related to. It's kind of weird, but we all just did it together, and I've loved it. I mean, I've done it since I was 17. I've been on the road, but
how small are those bunk beds? I've always wondered, like, they always look like they're so like packed in there. I mean, now you've got, I'm sure, a much larger bed, but at the beginning, like,
I was on the bus I was on the bus with 11 dudes for like 3 years, and we were doing like 220 shows a year. It was a grind.
And at some point, someone has a stomach ache. You know, that's where my head goes.
They throw up. It was back in our party days, so they would like down the curtains. I would step and pee because they can't aim while we're moving. It's just like, all right, those are the stories where you're like, okay, let me give you the real tea. It looks glamorous when you step off the bus in slow-mo with your friend, John. But it's only for those moments that it's glamorous. The rest of it, you're like, oh, there's another dumpster. Cool. You know what I mean? But I love all the parts of it. But Vegas was a great break from that. It was one spot. We rented a house in the burbs. Because like there's real life off the strip. Like people just live regular lives. And
my friend's husband played for the Golden Knights. My husband played hockey. So and I was like, what's it like living in Vegas? She's like, it's actually pretty great. Like you go obviously to the strip sometimes, but she's like, it's real life.
It is. And it was actually, and the weather's great, except for the summer. It's really hot, but the weather was awesome. I loved it. I love the desert. It's just so opposite of where I'm from that I just get so much inspiration from the desert. And the sunsets are stunning, but I love Vegas. I mean, it's a lot. I mean, it's like you can go get in it or you don't, but I did love like the crowds they came dressed to the nines. Like, and I got my show, I got to have, we can't do certain things every night because we have to load it all in a truck and go to the next city. So in Vegas, it was like, this stays put. And so it was like, and there's no such thing as too much of anything there. So it was like as many rhinestones as we could find, as much fringe as we could find, as much fire as we could put on the stage, as many laser lights. Like we just did it big. It was really, really fun. And I haven't been that nervous in a long time as the opening night of Vegas. Like I was so like my adrenaline was just going crazy because, I've done this so much. I still love it, but I just kind of smooth sail through it. I don't get nervous, but that was really. Yeah,
you don't get. Wait, I think that's interesting.
I do too.
Yeah, because you never had that. I mean, of course, you have it a little bit, but like it just was so natural from the beginning for you.
Yeah, it really was.
Wow.
I mean, I get like jitters in a good way. Like I'm excited, but I don't feel like really nervous. But opening out of Vegas, I was on edge a little bit. I just wanted it to. We did so much rehearsal and so much planning.
Yeah.
I really wanted it to like land where it was supposed to. But I loved it. I'm so thankful for that time. It was 2 years of residency.
I'm so pissed we didn't go, Carissa.
I know.
But I'm back on the road. Just come see me out there. That's the
okay.
real
We
stuff.
will. We will.
Yeah.
Dressed as Carrie and Miranda. So when you see us in the crowd, you'll know it's us. Is it easier to write songs when you have heartbreak or you're in love?
I probably heartbreak. I mean, that's the sad truth of it. But I've learned that you don't have to live every sad song you ever write. And there's this kind of mentality, especially for young artists, like you have to be tortured artists and you have to like write about all your pain. It's like that is important. And I think feeling all the feelings is so important for a songwriter, but you can't live in that. You can't, I've heard enough that I can go back. I can just go dig in that well anytime I need to, but I'd rather not be tortured and like live a happy life. And I can still write a damn good sad song. We're all going to be okay.
Tin Man got me through a lot of things, Miranda. Let me tell you, I would listen to that song and I would cry. It will make me cry now, but it was so cathartic. Like as a songwriter, you help people through experiences and in your ability to express what like we're thinking, but don't even know how to put it down on paper. It's like, my dad, when I was a little kid, driving the car, and he would make me take out the front of a CD cover. Remember when all the lyrics used to be in there?
I love that.
And he would make me, he's like, you can't like a song if you don't know what it's about. And he would make me learn all the words to songs. So now when I listen to songs, it's like all about the lyrics. Obviously there's the melody aspect, sure. But like words matter. And like that Tin Man is just like, do you have again, you can't pick a favorite song, but is there a song of yours that like just resonates maybe more than others? For you,
I mean,
personally?
Tin Man's a big one. It's one of those too. Like I write that being very vulnerable, and it's scary. It's like, okay, well, there's no like on this record on Postcards from Texas. There's one called "Run" that is a solo write from like 2015 or 16, and I didn't record it ever because I wasn't ready to. And I also was like, when you write a song by yourself, that's really honest and it's really hard. You don't have anywhere to hide. I can't be like, well, that was my co-writer's story.
Oh my God,
like, nope,
yeah.
here it is.
Yeah.
So, but that's what I signed up for because that's the music that resonates with me. All the artists that I love, all the music I grew up on, like hearing about Merle Haggard turning 21 in prison. I was like, oh, damn. Like, you know what I mean? I just appreciate honesty and vulnerability in music, in any art, and just in a human being. And so I sort of signed up for that. Like when I decided to be a songwriter and put my heart on tape, it's like that I'm committed to that, even if it's hard sometimes. And then those are the stories that I get the most out of when people like you say, that song really got me through something. And I'm like, good, because it got me through something too. It's not just my story. It's all of our stories at times,
It was an anthem. So thank you for that. You give people gifts that you don't even like know, how much. I'm sure you now understand when people tell you, but it really is special.
Well, therapy, give people free therapy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because my therapy's not free.
No, me neither.
Who would we be shocked is on your favorite playlist? Like your go-to, like pump you up or get you through some shit. Like who are your girls? Who are your guys?
You probably wouldn't be shocked by any of mine. I mean, obviously, I love country. I really just do. But I love like Beyonce, obviously. And I guess like if anybody was shocked, it'd probably be Audio Slave. Like
I am shocked. Okay.
That's my like rage. Like we're going.
Do you have a dream collab? Like, is there one you're like that's on your list where you're like, I would love to, whether it's write or perform with or do a song? Anybody?
There's so many. I'm also just really open. I think I'm more open than ever of like, I love Toblerone. Like, she's my new favorite.
Yes.
I love, that's such a badass. So I got to meet Post when he was hanging around Nashville. Such a sweetheart. So hope we'll collab at some point. And
that's cool.
obviously, yeah, I mean, I keep my options open, and I'm trying to like find new inspiration from younger artists too, of all genres.
How does that work? Like, do you put like, you're like, okay, to your manager, like, call so-and-so, like, how does the collab thing even happen?
Sometimes that's how it happens. And now it's like DM, which I'm like,
you slide into the DMs for a collab.
well, I feel weird about that.
DM.
I'm terrible about it, because I'm like, hey, what are y'all doing? I feel weird about that, but usually I go through management, because I don't want to put people on the spot. You know what I mean?
Fair.
But
like, if you see they read it and they didn't reply, like, hey, would you be interested in a collab?
Yeah.
I mean, does Miranda Lambert get like that? If they read it and there's no response, I'm like, oh God,
oh,
they're not responding. There's no bubble.
No, I'm scared of rejection.
Same.
But no, like Charlie Puth, we sat together at a table at the Grammys, and then I DM'd him, and then we texted. He's great. I'm like, we need a collab. Like, it's networking, but it's just the new way. These kids are doing it.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, we know how busy you are. Thank you so much for being generous and jumping on and chatting with us. Postcards from Texas. I know that you say that it feels like you and everyone in your close circle says it's the most like you. So I'm so excited for you. Your 10th album. Congratulations, Miranda.
Congrats.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on, and let's hang.
Oh
my God,
fine.
I thought you'd never ask. I was about to like think of my DM to you. Hey, so good to talk to you. You want to come to are you going to come to any of our games? Come to a game.
I want to come. I want to go to a few games. I'm trying to figure out my schedule, because it's lining right up with album press. So I want to come to some games.
Wait, so I have the your husband probably wants to go to this. I'm assuming he is a well, no, Thursday night, we have the Giants and the Cowboys. So it's the best of both for you. You've got Texas and Giants.
We were at that game in Texas last year.
Okay, so it's Thursday night
makeup
this year.
artist is in the other room. She saw you in the elevator. She said it was so cool. Jillian, I just saw Miranda Lambert. You saw her in the elevator.
That's
she said,
great.
Oh yeah, she's so cute.
Have her come here. She's going to love that.
Jillian,
because she's not mic'd up.
because I have earplugs on. But I also have Chiefs at San Francisco. Kind of a big matchup on Fox. Wave to Miranda.
Hi.
So
she's not in the room, Jillian. No, I'm kidding.
Okay, so either way,
any game.
I will. Yeah. I will literally get y'all's info, and we will group text, and then we will brainstorm about what Cowboys cheerleaders dance song of mine they should do.
This is oh my God, this is great.
So be
all
thinking
of our
about
dreams. Perfect. Done and done.
Build me. Yeah, Miranda built me. This was amazing.
Well, thank y'all so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Miranda. Love you.
See y'all later.
Bye. Calm Down with Erin and Charissa is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.